Almonds.
Almonds are nuts. But you know what else is also nuts to me?
What is?
That Happiest Season is from 2020.
Yep.
The
That's in my
happiest
notes.
time indeed.
That's in my notes.
Happiest time indeed.
Yeah.
We are back, baby doll.
We are holidaying it up.
We're holidaying it up. Oh, by the way, I checked our last recording.
Yeah.
When you actually sing, you can actually understand what the song is now. So we are back, baby doll, to talk about our next holiday special movie.
Yeah.
Another throwback to a happier time. November 2020. Not only did we have COVID,
Yeah.
that time we also had a very contentious election cycle.
We did.
It's almost 3 years to the date.
This movie came
This
out.
movie came out November 25th, and it is November 15th right now.
Honestly, though, here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I really felt that this movie. It's a strong movie in and of itself. I don't mean to undercut it. I love that it came out during COVID because I feel like the warmth that this movie came out just like was a good counterbalance to all the
shit.
all the shit.
Yeah. And, all right. So I'm not a fan of Christmas movies. Like your stereotypical Christmas movie. I'm not a fan. I will watch Home Alone. I'd rather not. I will watch what's the fucking movie that everybody It's a Wonderful Life. I'll watch it. I fucking don't need to watch it.
I haven't seen it.
It's not anything to write home about, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You've seen versions of it done better already somewhere.
Gotcha.
I cannot stand A Christmas Story. I wholeheartedly hate that movie.
Yeah.
This is a movie that when you mentioned you wanted to do this, I was like, I will happily watch
ready.
this movie again.
Yeah.
I didn't like properly sit down to watch the entire movie. I played some guitar yesterday, and then I had the movie on my headphones, listening to it, and I had a wonderful time.
This might be my favorite Christmas movie.
I think so too. I'm trying to think of if there's any other Christmas movie,
right?
Like stereotypical Christmas movie.
And Die Hard doesn't count for two reasons. One, because it's not a Christmas movie, and two, I don't actually care about Die Hard. So there.
No, we agree on a lot of things.
Yeah,
that is one of those things that we agree on. That's what we work.
Yeah, that's why we work.
That's why we work.
That's why we work.
We may not agree on 8 Crazy Nights,
right?
But that's fine because we agree that
one big disagreement in 60 episodes. Not bad. Not bad.
So we're talking about Happiest Season from 2020. It is a romantic comedy.
Yep.
It is a stereotypical rom-com Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But even though it has all the tropes, I think the tropes are very well used in this one.
I agree.
It's got a bombastic fucking cast. It's got Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis.
I always forget Victor Garber's name. Is Victor Garber? Well, it's got Victor Garber.
Who's Victor Garber? Is that the dad?
Dad.
The dad. I just know him as the guy from Arrow.
Yeah.
He was in Arrow
and Alias.
Oh, was he?
And Alias. Yeah.
I realized I was confusing Mackenzie Davis and Dakota Johnson.
That's an insult to a lot of people. But Alison Brie is in this movie.
Alison Brie is in it.
Yeah.
Fucking Aubrey Plaza is in this.
Aubrey Plaza
in this movie, I feel like breaks typecast.
She does. Can you name me any other movie that has such a big name relegated to such a side character? Not a bad character. I'm just saying, I think of everybody in this movie, I think Aubrey Plaza, to me, has the most clout. And, she is side character.
She is side character, and that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I think her side character works for the better in this movie.
So one of my favorite scenes in movies is with Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all these scenes.
Yeah.
I hate the official synopsis of this movie.
Let's read it.
Go ahead.
A holiday romantic comedy that captures the range of emotions tied to wanting your family's acceptance, being true to yourself, and trying not to ruin Christmas. But I guess why you hate it.
It's so Ah,
You did not let me guess. Just say like you could attach this to like any Christmas movie.
any movie. It's the most generic.
Yeah.
It's the type of synopsis that you put on on the splash screen on Hulu,
Yeah.
where you don't want people to know this is about lesbians.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't not that like I don't think this movie was afraid of homophobia. But
No,
like
but
I do think it's interesting that they chose to make such an applicable movie synopsis to a movie that like people are going to just like remember as the lesbian movie.
hey man, there's a
Right?
reason.
Oh yeah.
This movie, from a place of love, and I think we all do, just consistently just call this we're watching Christmas Lesbians.
Yep.
Because
Or
it is,
lesbian
and
Christmas.
it's. I love the fact that it's unapologetically
Yeah.
a gay fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's a very gay movie.
Yeah.
The characters are not like, you know, asexual, just hi, we're lesbian. No, these girls do feel like they are in a relationship.
To the point where Kristen Stewart's in the final party, she's like in this outfit. You're like, how does no one know?
Oh, there is
I mean, there's multiple outfits where I was like, how does no one know?
There's a joke in this movie where the guy's name is John, right?
Yeah, Dan Levy.
Dan Levy.
Yeah.
He plays like the best friend,
The sassy gay friend.
the sassy gay best friend.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, like
They don't know.
they don't know. They don't know that they don't know that she's lesbian.
Yeah.
She's talking about Harper, right? Harper is Mackenzie Davis,
Right.
and Abby is Kristen Stewart. Abby says they don't know that Harper's gay, and they're like, so what do they just think you brought, or she brought her gay friend?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, they don't know that I'm gay. And he goes, have they never met a lesbian?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Checks out.
Checks out. Checks out is right.
But I really like the way the relationships are used here, because they all feel, this movie feels very grounded.
Yep.
The only character that I feel almost kind of derails that sentiment a little bit is the sister.
Which one?
The weird one, Jane.
All right. So definitely not grounded. Definitely lovable.
Yes.
I think
she's adorable. I feel so bad for her character.
Here's the thing. I think upon this rewatch, I think the other sister, Sloane, is like too much of a bitch.
Too much, yes.
Yeah.
But considering so rewatching it again, I could not remember like what the inciting incident here was, why they had to keep. I knew it was like keeping the relationship kind of hush hush.
Right.
Why everything happens. Upon like rewatching it, it makes sense why that relationship is so contentious.
Correct.
Why she's such a bitch.
And we have to remember, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Right? There's just like certain, you know how like we've talked on this podcast that like horror can be very versatile, and you can have some like high quality horror. Right? Yeah. I don't think the Christmas genre has gotten to that.
No. And that's why this movie stands out.
Yeah.
Because this movie has all the trappings of a stereotypical Christmas movie.
Yep.
You have
it's the small town
meeting the family.
Yeah.
Shenanigans happen.
The hunky love interest. There's
a hunky love interest. Some misunderstandings. Yeah. But this movie does all of those things well,
with pathos,
and
all the feels in this movie,
and also like the acting is good.
Yeah.
Like Katie, every year, I'm already dreading the day that Katie tells me, "Hey, can you sign me up for the Hallmark Channel?" Like,
right,
because I know it's coming.
Yeah.
And
there's some potato acting in there.
Oh man, like if all the movies were generic as shit, but they were at least acted well, I could at least be like, well, at least the actors are doing their best.
Yeah.
But you watch some of those movies, and 9 out of 10 times,
right,
they are not
good. Clear C-listers,
and that's being generous. Yep. And even the ones that sometimes have good actors are not good. Right. There's a series on Netflix called The Christmas Prince.
I've heard of it.
It stars the main girl. Her name is Rose McIver, I think.
Yeah.
She's the main actress in the show iZombie, and she's great in that show. She's great in other things.
Yeah.
She is not good in that. And I don't know if it's something about Christmas movies just bringing out the worst in people, which
Christmas can bring out the worst in a lot of
Christmas
people.
can put in a lot of people.
Yeah.
This movie, I feel like everybody here is firing on all cylinders. Like
Yeah.
the two leads are great.
Yeah. Very cute.
Huh?
Very cute.
Very cute. Very cute.
Mm-hmm.
I think usually one of the biggest pitfalls in movies, whether Christmas or not, is that the sassy gay friend is just played like a caricature.
No.
Dan Levy does a fantastic fucking job in this movie. He is really good. I think his scene is my favorite scene in this movie.
The scene towards the end.
The scene towards the
It's
end
an
where
excellent scene.
where he's talking to Abby.
Yeah.
The parents are fun. Like the
They-
mom.
They are exactly what that type is
Yes.
supposed to be.
Are they a little heightened? Absolutely. The mom especially.
But it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie. So all of these things that you kind of feel like this is where things would go wrong in your average Christmas movie, they don't go wrong here. So your idea to bring this movie to the people,
right? The millions of fans.
The millions of fans.
Yeah.
Why do you like this so much?
This movie, I think two things. There's a couple scenes in this movie that just sort of stand out to me as like very emotionally moving scenes that ultimately like are just like fun conversations either outside of a house or like in a bar, right? Number one, and I think number two, like overall, this movie takes you. I don't want to call it. I won't say it's like an emotional roller coaster, but like every time I watch this movie, like I choke up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? And it still manages to make you do that while also being like heartwarming and charming and just like just goofy enough. Like we're in the spoilers territory now, but it ends
let's get in there.
It ends with the weird sister, like getting her book deal and like writing about her narfs and garbles or whatever. Right? Like that's charming as fuck. And like plus, I think this was something I really realized on like this showing. I really want, this is gonna sound like a very silly statement, so bear with me.
All right.
I really want like Bill Maher to watch this movie.
Why?
Okay. We, especially like now in like the Biden era, there's been this like there's always been like a reaction against political correctness and like wokeness. I feel like now that the Orange Monkey, is by and large relegated off major TV, right, and we can ignore him. I think now a lot of people are like forgetting, what that's like. And they're like, oh, these wokes are really going too far. And like, yeah, like we really need to stop it again, right? And I feel like this movie does a good job, kind of what we talked about with the Marvels. Like, this movie does a really good job of like showing how important a support system is and like what being forgiving looks like, right? And growth and the fact that like you can have people who are different, right? And like they can very much like fit in with like quote unquote the rest of society, right?
Yeah.
And like one of my favorite scenes in movies is the drag bar scene in this movie, and it's like so human and beautiful and cute, and Aubrey Plaza like acts the hell off in that scene, and like while you have like all this like rhetoric going around about like these like drag library shows are trying to like
make your kids
my
gay
kids,
and blah blah blah.
That's just like not what's fucking happening, and it's like this Christmas movie from 2020 has like more of a snapshot of reality than like so much of like
real life
political discourse of the past 20 years.
Yep.
Like what did I show you today? Like if the fans remember, there was a shooting on a 4th of July parade in 2022
in Illinois.
And like the dad of the shooter was like wearing a shirt to court today that
I'm a
said,
political
"I'm a
pawn."
political pawn." And like Javi's reaction was like, "We do not live in a serious society." And no, we do not. No, we do not. And I feel like it's the fucking Christmas lesbian movie that's just gonna like bring us back to reality a little bit.
And it's amazing
Yeah.
how the thing that you least expect
Yeah.
is the thing that is actually, like the best thing you need right now.
Yeah.
So in a completely unrelated point to that, so like this year video games has been insane.
Hmm.
My favorite game of the year has been like Resident Evil,
Yep.
Baldur's Gate, Dead Space. Fucking Alan Wake comes out of nowhere, and it's the exact game that I'm like, this is what I've been looking for.
Mm.
And it's something that you didn't consider. I never considered that the Christmas Lesbian movie was gonna be like the most like heartfelt movie I've seen all year.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that I've watched before.
Yeah.
And it is what you need. And
It's
I
got
think
friendship. It's got healing between parents and children.
yeah,
Right.
it's got generational trauma in
Yeah.
the best way.
Yeah.
Where it kind of gets resolved properly.
It taught me the who's got a hat that's long and white, Santa's got a beard that's long and white.
Wait, hold on,
Who
what?
comes around on a special night?
I may have
Santa
missed
comes
that.
around. That's in the bar scene. That's
Is
the
it?
yeah. I had never known that song before, and I'm like, it's a fucking earworm, right? Like this song oozes Christmas
The best?
in the best way.
The best?
This movie oozes Christmas. Excuse me.
It does.
Yeah, the song does too.
The best compliment I can give this movie is, like I said, I put this on. I said I want to watch this again.
Mhm.
I don't want to just reread the plot synopsis on Wikipedia as one of our friends does.
Yeah.
I want to watch, but at the same time, I'm like, I want to do something else too. So
Right.
I was playing guitar.
Yeah.
The best compliment I can give this movie is there were multiple scenes where I'm watching it and I said, I need to pause my game
Yeah.
and I need to focus on this scene.
Yeah.
And it's not just like once or twice, it's multiple times.
Nice.
And
For a Christmas movie.
for a Christmas movie
Yeah.
with Kristen Stewart, who
Yes.
10 years ago
Yeah.
was getting shit on and dogpiled.
Man, what an arc. What
What
an
an
arc.
arc.
What an arc she's had.
Hero arc.
Hero indeed.
I think for me, her big turn was, I think she did a movie called Ghost Story,
Yeah.
and that was the beginning. And then I remember watching a movie with her called Underwater, where I
Yeah.
was like, you need more Kristen Stewart in this world.
Yeah.
And she does a fantastic job in this movie with her acting as well, where she feels like believable.
Mhm.
Like her concerns about the way the relationship is kind of devolving.
Right.
You feel for her.
Yeah.
One of the funniest scenes in this movie, not purposely funny, is when they're at the beginning. You learn that she does not like Christmas,
Right.
and then Mackenzie Davis's character just goes, "I know this time is rough because your parents died around this time." And I'm like,
And that's straight up Hallmark.
there's a smoother way to say
Yeah.
that somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's not this.
Hey man.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the inciting incident for this makes for that like classic like comedic take on the Christmas thing.
Hmm.
Where you're like, well, we want to go, but we don't want people to know that we're dating.
Right.
It just happens to be, two women in this case.
Right.
Which leads to my other favorite line, where
Is it an orphan joke?
the orphan
they're all
joke.
great. Yes.
It's like, oh, this is Harper's orphan friend. Yeah, damn. Fuck. That's the thing. The way the mom says it, I know people who would say things like that.
The mom is such a tipper.
Is it Mary Steenburgen? I think
don't
that's
know.
the actress's name.
Yeah.
She's the mom in Step Brothers, isn't she?
I haven't seen Step Brothers in ages. So
Yeah,
I
she's
don't
the mom in Step Brothers.
Yeah.
She brings that same fucking energy to this PG-13 ass movie.
Yeah.
Just anytime she's like, Oh yeah, like you were sleepwalking. Yeah, that makes sense. That's very dangerous. Kind of ditzy and clueless, but
She is the mom that would like just barge into your room. I think every time
which she does,
I think every time she like knocks twice and just walks
just
in.
walks
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I think it's very fun how all of these characters, like we said, they are all playing like a role from like a standard
Christmas movie.
Christmas movie,
Yeah.
but is they're all played very well. Um, there are a few characters on this that kind of suck. The kids are awful.
The kids suck.
The kids are fucking menaces to society.
Yeah.
Should they frame her
For
for
shoplifting.
shoplifting?
Right.
Which leads to my other second set of awful characters, the mall cops.
Right. They're hilarious though.
They're funny,
I will say.
but you know how I said that sister seemed like a caricature?
Right.
Those
They're
two mall
definitely
cops feel like
caricatures.
they're from a different.
Yeah.
They
They
feel
feel like
like
they're
they're
from
from a
Paul Blart.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't love that, but I think as far as characters and as far as my negatives go, that really is it.
Mm.
Um, the seeing the like I said, the regression of the relationship going from Harper constantly denying
Yeah.
the relationship. And at first, it's not like blatant in your face, but that scene where they're getting into that fight at the end,
Right.
which is, I don't want to say like a payoff. It's not a good payoff. It's a payoff. It's not a positive payoff,
Mm.
but it is a payoff to that scene that you mentioned with Aubrey Plaza, where she says like, we started dating, but then somebody found out,
Mm-hmm.
and she just said, no, she's a lesbian. She's been stalking me. She's
Right.
she's weird, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of have this kind of character beat where Abby feels like, oh, that's not going to happen to me.
Right.
And then when it does happen,
It hurts.
you feel so bad.
Now here's my question for you. So I saw a 1-star review of this movie on Letterboxd that I thought was too extreme, but I partially saw their point.
Okay.
Do you think Harper is adequately, I don't know if even redeemed is the right word, but like, do you think Harper gets away a little too scot-free?
Yes. I do agree, but that is not what makes this a 1-star. Like, it would not make this a 1-star. That's what I'm saying. Like, that is not enough for me to be like 1-star.
Yeah.
It does feel like, that's why I'm saying one of the things I put on our outline was like, could there be a sequel? And I think it could be a sequel of them because they do a time skip at the end of this.
Yeah.
Where it's like 1 year later. And I'm like, oh, you could have, if you wanted money,
right,
you could have sequelized the shit out of this and have a sequel where it's them like on demand for,
for a year.
For what happened. And maybe like the payoff of that year, this was how the movie takes place, right? Because, dude, like, that's gotta hurt so bad.
So I think we'll talk about the sequel. My vision of a sequel I'll talk about later. I think one way that the film does a good job of trying to cushion that blow. When I say cushion that blow, I mean like getting you to a point where you're willing to accept that like Harper and Abby can get back together.
Mm-hmm.
They have the scene in the bedroom where Harper's like, I'm not hiding you, I'm hiding me. Right?
Yes.
And you're like, oh shit. Like at first, before that like scene, I was like, why the fuck did I why the fuck did I like Harper? Or I don't even think I ever liked Harper, but I was like, why did I like cheer for them to get together again? Mm-hmm. And then I saw that scene, I'm like, oh, that's fucking heavy.
Yes, and I think
I related. Uh-huh. But then at the end, after that is the physical fight where the paper or the painting is destroyed. Yes. And then Sloane, who is the real villain of this movie.
The real villain of this movie.
It was like, she's a lesbian. And then Harper's like, I'm not. And then you watch the double betrayal again.
Yeah.
And then that leads to the Dan Levy scene where he talks about his coming out experience. And
Yeah.
the beautiful line of like, there's my experience, there's your experience,
Hmm.
and there's everything in between. And I was like, I'm mad at Harper now, but like,
You understand.
everyone really is going through their shit, right?
And I think the movie does a good job at like during that scene
Yeah,
where everything is going to shit,
yeah,
where the sisters are chasing each other through the house and
yeah,
everybody is just continuing to do their thing, and then you see the fight getting closer to the room, and the painting gets smashed. Right, you
yeah,
mentioned that. In a normal movie, that is the this is where she comes out.
right.
She says, "This is my girlfriend," and the family goes, "Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
We love you no matter what."
yeah.
But it's
It's
not.
not.
It's not. So it already like subverts your
Subvert your
expectation
invitations.
right there. And that would have been okay, but I do like that they continue that to that scene that you mentioned,
Right.
having the differences. And it's fine, but I do feel not that Abby like forgives her.
Hmm.
Not that it's brushed away. I just kind of wish there would have been more to that scene. And Abby does reject that apology at first.
Yeah.
She does like say like I don't want like
Yeah.
it's not good. It's too late.
Yep.
She does say like
Yep. Yep. Yep.
it's
Yep.
too late.
Yep.
Like cool. I'm happy that you're finally like admitting it.
Yeah. But then she goes and gets the girl. But she's
Then she
pregnant.
goes and gets the girl.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that does seem a little too like happy Christmas ending, which
But it's a
it's a
Christmas
Christmas
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
So you have to play by Christmas movie rules.
And they're supposed to be about hope. Right. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like, and they're supposed to. I mean, sorry, I Wonderful Life. Like, they're supposed to be short. Right. Like, you watch a Christmas movie while you're baking cookies,
Yeah.
right? And like,
How long is this fucking movie?
it's under 2 hours.
Oh, for sure. Hour
Yeah.
42.
Yeah. Right. Shorter than the Marvels, right?
Yeah?
Yeah. So, I do think that she gets away with it a bit too scot free,
Yes.
but given the genre,
Mhm.
I'm fine with it. My idea for a sequel, I actually don't need a movie that focuses on Harper and Abby. I would love to see a not Sloane, um, Jane, right? The weird sister.
Oh, the Weird Sister.
I would love to see
Oh.
a Jane-centered movie.
In
Jane, and Dan Levy's character. I would love to see a movie about them.
One of the things that I hadn't realized is that the family is supposed to be like religious or conservative.
Mm.
Catch that the first time watching this movie. It's on the rewatch where I was like, oh,
Well, that's hard to.
I just thought it was she didn't know how to do that with her family because they were politically in the spotlight. She didn't
Yeah.
want to like make things weird. It wasn't until I was rewatching that it was made more obvious. Like, oh, this is a conservative family,
Well,
and
here
that adds a whole other layer.
layer. Yeah, it's hard to portray that in this day and age.
Yeah.
They're like a 2004 conservative family, right? Unfortunately, now conservative means batshit crazy,
Yes.
and that's entirely their doing.
Let's rephrase.
Yeah.
They are Christmas movie conservative.
Right. Yeah.
And again, let's rephrase. This is like early 2000s conservative.
Right. But you can't like it. That's hard to code nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to make that happen. So yeah, like they like touch on it, right? There's that line where the big donor, like, they're like, "Oh, are you familiar with Harper's article at the paper?" She's like, "Ah, I read it,"
Hmm.
and like it's subtle, but you're like, "Ah, like they have opposing political views,
Mhm.
right?" And then you could infer that Abby and Harper are probably liberal,
Yeah.
and these people are probably not,
Hmm.
right? I mean, the more believable thing is that politician's family didn't sell out their, didn't sell out their personal life for fame and clout. But hey,
Yeah.
it's a Christmas movie.
And that's where I think it's this movie does not take the it could easily take that easy route.
Yeah.
Where at the end of the movie they're like, "Look at my gay daughters."
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's still he wins, but he wins it on his terms. They have that thing
Does he win?
where
I may have missed it. Does he win the
he
election?
wins at the end.
Okay.
He won like the mayoral campaign,
Well,
right?
then that's definitely not grounded in reality. But
um, they have that scene where the dad or the lady goes, she's like, "Hey, with everything that came out, like we could still do this if
the don't ask,
she
don't tell.
approaches the
Yeah.
don't ask,
Yeah.
don't tell thing," and he doesn't make a show about it.
He's like,
It's
didn't
like
work
it didn't
out.
work out. He
Yep.
does not make like a thing about like I defended your
Yeah.
honor. I'm an ally.
Maturity.
Yes,
Which,
and that's why I think this movie works well because it's these things that don't need to happen don't happen.
which really quickly, back to the point of like reality versus not. So I never met her. I was in the same, either the same graduating class or within a year at DePaul of Charlotte Pence, right? If you don't know who Charlotte Pence is,
Interesting.
her dad had an important job.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
At DePaul.
fascinating.
She was the governor of Indiana,
Yeah.
right? So, like, obviously no one wants to fucking live in Indiana. But one of my friends at DePaul was best friends with Charlotte Pence.
Oh,
I never met Charlotte, right? All from what I could tell, based on like my friends, experience with the Pence family, is that at home, like they were normal ass people, right? And
Mother.
like very kind, not even like that weird, but like very kind, normal ass people. And then the whole Trump thing started happening. She's like, "What's that like?" She's like, "Oh, it's kind of weird, right?" And then the Trump thing really got off the rails, and I even think like the mayor, the dad, like kind of looks like he could be like Mike Pence's cousin, like a little bit.
Yeah,
And
got that look.
and I think the mom actually kind of has his wife's haircut ish. I have to Google, but like,
You think this is an allegory?
no, I don't think it's an
Oh,
allegory.
okay.
I don't, because also partially like in the movie, like they faced family crisis, right? And they chose their family instead of crazy. Whereas, like, most major Republicans, in these recent years have chosen, like, to align themselves with crazy.
Yeah.
I mentioned Bill Maher recently, like, Ted Cruz was just on that show. I don't get how people don't let this man live down the fact that Trump basically, like, you know, slandered beyond slandered his wife.
Yeah.
And this guy's just ready to lick that boot. Right. And I think
Crazy, dude.
I think this is where this movie is like sadly unbelievable because like I think I think a lot of these like people who are rooted in their phobia and bigotry too often are just like willing to choose, especially if they have power, they're just like willing to choose that for the crazy fans than like actually being a human being. But it's nice to see a Christmas movie.
Hey, man.
Where that doesn't happen.
Movies are what we would love things to be.
Red-nosed deer, save the day.
I would have loved this movie to get a theatrical, like a wide theatrical release.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe in the future this becomes more of a classic, and we get like a re-release in the future.
Because everyone's going to be listening to this podcast.
Everybody should
realize how great this movie is. They're going to follow me on Letterboxd and saw that I gave it 4.5 stars.
That's a pretty good score.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't think I reviewed this on Letterboxd. Hi.
You're not an ally.
Oh, wow. And here's the thing. One thing that I think we need to consider too is that, like, we're watching this movie as not
straights.
As boring straights.
Yep.
I don't know how people receive this. I can see this movie and evaluate it from like a purely relationship standard, from a purely like quality and acting wise.
Yep.
But I, as someone who is not a member of the LGBTQ plus community, like you listen to what is fucking Aubrey Plaza's character's name?
Oh,
Riley.
Yeah.
Like you listen to Riley's story,
Yeah.
and you listen to John's story, and I just sit there going like, how do you watch this and not at least kind of go to yourself like you mentioned, like not have some sort of like reflection to be like, maybe they have a point.
Maybe homophobia is bad.
Maybe homophobia is bad, right?
Yeah.
And like for us, like it's a no, like a no fucking brainer. You watch it, you go, damn, dude, like it fucking sucks.
Right.
It was like, especially like this is a small town.
Yeah.
And like what happened to Riley, like clearly,
Yeah.
like that
Ruined her high school.
fucks your shit up,
Right.
right? Because yeah, she says like it was at the beginning of high school, right, freshman year.
Yeah.
I think.
All the rest of high school, right?
Yeah.
She got bullied.
But I do think it was important for John to mention to Abby like you had a very different coming out experience.
Yeah.
Because I do think a lot of the times, some media will say like it's always bad.
Yeah.
Be scared, and this movie is like, yeah, I'm not saying not telling you not to be scared to like come out of your family, but like to realize that for some people it is.
There's your experience. There's my experience.
Exactly.
Everything in between.
It's a wonderful movie.
I love it.
I think it's very, 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 very well made.
Yeah.
I don't know if the writer of this movie has done anything else.
Sure.
It was written by the girl who plays June.
Wow.
It was written by the sister. She has a writing credit.
Yeah.
And also the
Jane.
director.
Hiya.
Jane. Isn't that what
You said June.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was
Bitch, it's
reading.
November.
I was reading her thing. She was born in June.
Oh, I see. It's a good month. It's my favorite month.
Oh shit. Interesting. The director for this movie was the movie called what's it called?
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
No, not Paul. Fucking damn it. What is that movie called? The Faculty. It's like a horror movie. Interesting. I want more stuff like this. I want more of this quality of Christmas movie where it feels thought out.
Yeah.
It feels like people care.
Yeah.
And not just cranking shit out to put on the Hallmark Channel.
Yes.
Unlike the shit that we watched last week.
Hey man, shame on you. Shame on you.
All right. I can't for sure say what our next holiday event movie will be.
Maybe we'll give some love to the actual upcoming holiday.
Yeah. Possibly.
So let's end with a holiday question.
Ooh, holiday question.
What are you hopeful for this Christmas?
What am I hopeful for?
Yeah.
I am hoping we don't go on fucking strike this year.
Nice. Very nice.
What are you hopeful for?
I'm hopeful for... Actually, I need some shoes. Real talk, I need to buy some shoes.
Hey, do you know that Reebok gives teachers 50% off?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know.
You learn by making podcasts.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to our retrospect of the Happiest season.
Yeah.
Please, if you could, give us the gift of sharing.
Yes.
Share our podcast.
And
spread the word.
And money. And the Old Testament.
Speaking of money, one of the things yesterday, we had a guest speaker, an author.
Mm-hmm.
He came to our school and he said to the kids, nothing says thank you to your teacher more than listening and food.
Oh.
And I go, good man.
That's right.
Yes. So give us gifts.
Yeah.
Give us shares. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. We will be back. So this should be coming out on Monday.
Yeah.
So then our next episode after this should be Thanksgiving. Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. Beautiful. And enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, everybody.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, everybody.
He has been Javier.
It's been Tano.
Bye.
And this has been the Cine-Scoots Movie Show. Bye.
Bye.